Hi, this is T with TeaQuilts, and I'm back with part 2 of my Solstice challenge by Pat Sloan. I'm calling mine the Heartbeat Sampler because I am not using Pat Sloan's blocks. You can look at part 1 to get all of the details about that. Over here, I have part 1 and 2 put together. I showed you all of part 1 last time I was with you, and I was working on part 2 where I had the top part completed, but I was working on what I'm calling my Heartbeat block. I got it all pieced together, and then I added a 2-inch sashing strip around it, and then I also went back and added 2-inch finished sashing squares. So I sewed all 3 of these panels together, and so now I'm ready to work on my 3rd section, which will go to the side over here. I went through my blocks that I already have in my stash, and I pulled out what I like. So I've moved and rotated some things, play with what I wanted where. So now I'm ready to piece my 3rd section, which will go to this on the side of my panels 1 and 2. In the places that are empty on my design wall, those are places where I'll be filling in with more sashing or either a plain sashing strip as well. So I just wanted to come and get you updated because I didn't really videotape me finishing off this section. I wanted you to know that I have my placements for my blocks here, and I did move some things. It took a little while, and then I let it sit, and then I'd come back on another day and look at it again. So as I start sewing these sections together, I'll either come back with brief updates or I'll add in photos of what I have going on here. So this is a whole nother day, and I have been working on my panel 3 for the quilt along. So I have sewed these 2 blocks together, and I needed another section in here to be 18 inches, and as you can see from over here, I decided, oh, I'll just use some of these from a project that I'm working on. It's not completed, but I have access to cutting more of this because I actually die cut this with my studio die cutter. So if I need more, I can cut more. So I just stole 4 blocks from another project. They were only cut 9 inches when I needed an 18-inch finished block, and when I put these together, they were only totaling up to 17.5 inches. So I needed to put a sashing in between these blocks to make this great block equal 18 inches. Over here, some of the things that I've been doing different with her diagram is places where she just has a strip, and these strips here are actually 3 inches wide, so that's a total of 6 inches finished. So what I did was, instead of putting a straight strip, I pieced these in on both sides. So I got 1 column over here, so that's 2 inches, and then over here I added 2 columns and made that 6 inches. So I've got that sewn, and it's also sewn to the top. Next, I have another strip set here that should be 3 inches, and so I went ahead and continued out my checkerboard here, and I'm actually working on this particular section. But I just thought that I would come and get you updated so I wouldn't have to do the whole section at one time. So my next step is to checkerboard this area, which is in here, and then I need to figure out how I'm going to handle. I want to stop right before this checkerboard line on the bottom, so I have to finish this section off. So that's my goal for my next setting of stitching. I'm back with the second section of part 3, and I don't have a lot of room on my design wall, so I'm just going to overlap so you can see what I have done, and then I'm going to just put in a couple of pins. Now remember, I'm taking creative freedom as I'm doing my project, and so over here I did exactly what she did in her diagram. She had two 12-inch blocks, and then she had 3 rows of the checkerboard setting. So that's exactly what I did here. I have a 12-inch block, another 12-inch block, and in between that is my 3 rows of the checkerboard setting. So then on the other side, she had a 3-inch strip here and a 3-inch strip down on the bottom, because the goal here is to get a piece, 2 pieces that are 12-inch finish by 30-inch finish. So that's what each of these columns need to equal. So what I did was I split those 2 3-inch strips into 3 2-inch strips. I hope I said that right. And so what I did was according to the pattern, she had 1 3-inch strip here that's solid. So I just pieced that out with the checkerboard. And then I added a strip in the middle, and I continued my checkerboard. Even though I didn't checkerboard the entire thing, I made sure that if I had a white square here that I checkerboard out. Then I added my 12-inch block. She had her 2 blocks put together, but I put the black strip in the middle. And then here is her last 3-inch strip, which I needed a 2-inch strip to make it so that this whole panel equals 30. So I'm hoping you're starting to get how I'm actually adapting her design. It's still her design. I still give Pat Sloan credit for this layout, although I am adapting it in quite a few places. I even adapted it over in this area as well, because this solid border should have been out here where my checkerboard is. So I made my center 2-inch smaller so that I could checkerboard the, well, actually 4-inch smaller. It was 2-inch smaller all around. So, but I'm just having so much fun with this. I love asymmetrical sampler quilt layouts. So all I have to do now is sew the first part and the second part together, and I have my 3rd panel sewn for the quilt top. Again, remember that I am using optional blocks, so none of these blocks are in Pat Sloan's quilt. I will also give you the link to the Solstice Challenge online, so you can go and follow Pat Sloan. And I will also give you to part 1 of my video, as this is my part 2 of taping. So I will sew these 2 pieces together. I am not going to come back for this part 2 segment. I have 1 more segment to sew this whole entire bottom section here. So I am going to go ahead and sew this 3rd panel together, and then I'm just going to add photos at the end of I'm going to add photos of all of my panels, panels 1, 2, and 3, and then I'm going to also add photo of the panels 1, 2, and 3 put together. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you next time in part 3 of my Solstice Challenge, when I'm showing you this bottom section when I get to it, but it's going to be probably a week or 2. I have a retreat that I'm scheduled for this weekend, and I have a class and a meeting to attend before I even go to the retreat. So that's why I'm doing a lot of videotaping today. But I will continue sewing, and then I will see you next time. Bye-bye.